Welcome to the sequel of a video I recently made. It was ultimately a bit of a human psychological experiment. For the exactly 100 people who watched it, it's just a couple of days old, it's had 100 views, 5 comments that have not been deleted by the people who left them, 5 thumbs up and 0 thumbs down. I made a video called Choose to be Kind Over Being Right. That is how you actually gain a person's respect. Well, within an hour of posting this, just a couple days ago, Friday morning, I remember I posted this. So just within an hour, someone left a comment saying, I mainly agree with you, but, and then they explain why they disagree with me. Disagreeing with me about how it's better for you, you're gonna gain more people's respect if when they say something you disagree with, instead of trying to correct them and be right, you're better off being kind to that person. Not necessarily, oh, I agree with you, you don't say that, but choosing to be kind, maybe that means you say nothing in response, but you're smiling. It's smarter for you, so even selfishly, it's smarter for you to be kind instead of trying to prove that person right. So the person left a comment and they said, I sort of agree with you, but if you are nice to people and you don't ever disagree with them, then they're gonna walk all over you. So here's where things get clever. I responded and I said, so you're right? Because obviously by leaving that comment and disagreeing, they were already, ultimately, though they did have the kindness, they say, I partially agree with you. Still, the main point of the comment was, I disagree with you. So that was a test, and that's how I designed that video. I even ended it with, leave your comment right here. And they did. And so I pointed that out to them back in the comment, and they said, but you said to leave a comment. I said, yeah, I did. And it was to test you, to see if you could resist trying to be right in this situation. Because ultimately, the whole point is, you want to gain a person's respect? Don't try to prove them wrong. Just be nice to them. That's how you get people to like you. So, and ultimately too, for whoever that person was, they deleted the whole comments thing right after that, which tells a lot about the person and also reinforces why I can't respect a person like that anyway. Because when something they revealed, they said, well, people will walk all over you if you don't disagree with them. You have to disagree with them. You have to prove them wrong. You can gain people's respect by proving them wrong. That's what younger men think. Most men over age 35 know it doesn't actually work that way. It's usually someone holding up a card saying, here's my age, here's my maturity level. I still think that proving people wrong is how you gain their respect. Men past the age of 35 know that's not how it works, and our lives are a lot easier now because we know that as a truth. So ultimately, I think that's interesting and revealing for that person who left the comment and deleted it, that their fear is people will walk all over them. I don't fear that about myself. I think that's interesting to put in perspective. When I have the opportunity to disagree with someone, to prove them wrong or to be kind to them, I always choose being kind. Because I don't have high conflict personality. High conflict personality is you screaming, I'm insecure. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what I'm bad at. So I need to try to figure out what I believe and how I perceive the world. So let me see who I can try to prove wrong based on what I think is reality. It's a sign of insecurity. That's what high conflict personality is you being insecure. Therefore, you have to argue against people and try to prove them wrong because ultimately you want confirmation, validation that your perspective is right, which goes back to the video I made. Why choosing to be right, that's all relative. Most of the time, right is a perception, but being kind usually is not. Ultimately, fundamentally, people want to be respected. So give them the thing they really want, kindness. It doesn't mean you have to agree with them. It just means don't disagree with them if you don't have to. Most times in life, you don't have to disagree with the person. Let's see, I got one more comment came in here. Let's take a look at it. Andrew Moss, here's what he says. He said, I agree to a certain extent, but sometimes people will say something nice to you just to avoid making you feel bad. But it can lead to a delusional thought process if people never tell you what they actually think. Sometimes you need to hear not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. That often means not being nice. End quote. And I agree with that comment, but I will tell you this also. And I won't say much about what I used to talk about, but on this channel, most of my videos are about a certain topic. It's about young men who are insecure. They base their concept of happiness and respect and confidence on their looks. And it was me trying to tell them otherwise. I said, here's a list of 10 things you're actually being judged on, and they're not on the looks you have no control over. Well, what I learned from doing that for over 5 years was most people didn't listen to me. Because in their mind, even though I was telling them truth, they didn't perceive it as truth. They already decided what was right in their own mind. And that goes back to identity protective cognition, which is you believe something already, you probably can't convince the person otherwise, because if you try to, you're going to only reinforce their own beliefs. So there you go. You get to decide reality. You get to determine what is right. So if you think I'm right, and the smart, selfish move is to, when you have the chance to prove someone wrong or be kind to them instead, and they'll respect you more. If you believe that, what most men over age 35 actually do, because most men who are going to get married have gotten married by that age, and most men who have kids have had kids by that age. So we learned a lot about how to actually communicate and be effective in life. And it's not about getting our way or getting people to convert to our way of thinking, but instead it's about ultimate community compromise. And that's how you actually are happier in the long run. We know that. I know that my career is largely based on me not proving people wrong. And I think we have to get past the all or nothing mentality on this. Someone says something wrong. Let me just give you an example to make it really easy for you. What if I said, and I don't believe this, but what if I said, everybody should be vegan? You don't need all that protein. You don't need complex protein. All you need is fiber. Everybody should be vegan. Now, if I said that, it'd be very easy to say, dude, you're wrong. You need complex, and you could go through the whole thing. And you, in theory, would be right. Let's say that you're right. But if I was a vegan who was so adamant that everybody else should be a vegan, I promise you I would respect you less because you're attacking me. But instead, what if you said, oh, that's interesting. I've never really thought about that before. Well, hey, I'll keep a watch on how things go for you long term. Maybe I can learn something from you. Maybe you're onto something. See, that's how you would, even if you can't stand that person, you can't stand what they said, what's going to actually build your maturity, build your circle of people who you know that respect you, that's how you actually do it. If you prove people wrong, you fail. Because even if you can prove them wrong, you lose the respect. I have been in that situation. I've lost other people's respect because I truly factually proved them wrong. It was something that I could prove them wrong on. More than once, there was lyrics to songs, there was certain actors, and I just pulled it up on Wikipedia after they already bet me the money, and then I took their money, and I realized, okay, I just proved them to be wrong, and I took their money from it because it wasn't gambling to me if I already knew the answer, and they didn't even bother to look it up first. But they didn't respect me after that. That's when I learned. It doesn't make you a pushover to refuse to disagree with someone, but you also don't have to agree with someone if you don't. There can be a middle ground. So they say something you disagree with, just don't actively disagree with them. Just say, oh, that's interesting. I never thought about that before. Next conversation, next topic. That's how you gain their respect. Proving them wrong makes them not like you. And that's what you're looking for typically. If you have the mentality that I gotta be right, I gotta prove people wrong. 9 times out of 10, that means you're insecure. For me, I'd actually say it's 10 times out of 10. I never met a person with high conflict personality who wanted to prove people wrong who actually was emotionally intelligent. And usually they're under the age of 35. That's why ultimately I'm your internet dad. I'm teaching you reality, how the world actually works. You want people to validate your identity when you're insecure. When you are secure, you don't need that. And you already know that you fail the moment you prove them wrong, because then you don't have the one thing you wanted, and that was the respect. When you don't need validation of who you are, though, you don't play that game. Your comments are going to belong right here. When we can keep talking about this, I think it's very important as your internet dad that we have these real conversations. But there's a lot of irony in there, because ultimately, the more you disagree with me on this, I guess the less I'm going to respect you, because ultimately I'm like, oh yeah, you're under the age of 35. You haven't figured out what you're good at, bad at yet. So you still think you have to prove people wrong. That's just where you're at in life. So you get to decide what is right here.